You ever seen a wedding so beautiful, so full of love, that it could make even the coldest heart melt? Yeah, this ain't one of those stories. This is the story of how one mother's deep-rooted racism nearly tore a couple apart, and how the groom's response left an entire room speechless. It starts with laughter, tears, and white roses, but ends with betrayal, exposed secrets, and one unforgettable moment of truth. So buckle up, because what you're about to hear, it's gonna shake you. It was a warm June afternoon in Atlanta, and everything seemed perfect. The sun beamed down on a garden venue wrapped in white silk and gold accents. The guests, dressed in elegance, were arriving one by one, snapping selfies under the floral arch and sipping champagne. The bride, Emily Matthews, was upstairs in her bridal suite, staring into the mirror, her hands trembling. Her hair was curled in perfect waves, her dress a custom off-shoulder lace gown that shimmered like morning dew. She should have been smiling. She should have been glowing. But she wasn't. Downstairs, the man of the hour, Jordan Cole, a tall, confident black man in a tailored navy suit, adjusted his cufflinks, surrounded by his groomsmen. His heart was pounding with joy. Today he was marrying the love of his life. He'd proposed to Emily a year ago after 2 years of dating, and against all odds, their love had endured. But deep down, Jordan knew today wouldn't go off without a storm. That storm had a name: Linda Matthews, Emily's mother. From day one, Linda hated Jordan. Not for his character. Not for how he treated her daughter. Not for his ambitions, his education, or his respect. No, she hated him because of the color of his skin. She was the kind of woman who smiled in public and spewed venom behind closed doors. A master manipulator and queen of appearances. She had grown up in old money and old ways, and she made sure Emily never forgot it. And today? Today she planned to put an end to this wedding, no matter what it took. Back upstairs, Emily's bridesmaids tried to keep her calm as she wiped tears from her eyes. "It's my wedding day. Why does it feel like I'm about to go into battle?" she whispered. Her best friend, Kara, took her hands. "Because you are. But you fought for this love every day. You didn't come this far to let your mama steal your joy." Meanwhile, in the grand ballroom just steps away from the ceremony site, Linda Matthews was making moves. She was dressed in a sharp, pearl-colored suit, her blonde hair perfectly pinned. No one would ever guess what she was planning. She wasn't alone either. She had backup. Her brother, Emily's uncle Richard, had flown in just for this moment. And behind the scenes they were scheming. First she had the DJ. She'd paid him under the table to skip Jordan's family's chosen song for the mother-son dance and replace it with something more appropriate. Then came the seating arrangement. Jordan's family, who had flown in from Chicago, were all reassigned to the back. She said it was a logistical error, but everyone knew better. Still, Jordan kept his composure. He greeted his guests, helped his grandmother to her seat, and shared a quiet moment with his mother, Denise, a retired nurse who'd raised him on her own. "You ready, baby?" she asked, brushing a piece of lint from his shoulder. "Born ready," Jordan smiled, but his eyes glanced across the lawn, straight at Linda Matthews, who stood like a statue, arms crossed, eyes full of judgment. The ceremony began with soft violin music, and all the guests stood as Emily appeared at the top of the aisle. She looked like a vision, tears glistening in her eyes, not just from emotion but from the battle raging within. She walked alone by choice. Her father had passed years ago, and she didn't want her mother ruining her moment. As she reached the altar, Jordan took her hand and whispered, "We made it." She smiled through tears, almost. The officiant began. Vows were exchanged. Hands trembled. Hearts raced. Jordan's voice cracked with emotion as he promised to love Emily through everything, especially the storms. Emily's voice faltered as she looked into Jordan's eyes and promised to stand by him, even when it meant standing against her own blood. But just as the officiant said, "If anyone here has reason why these two should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace," there was a loud, deliberate cough. Every head turned. Linda Matthews stood slowly, clutching her purse with both hands. "I have something to say," she said sharply. Gasps rippled through the guests. Emily's face turned pale. "Mother, don't," she whispered. Jordan stood frozen. Linda walked forward, each heel click louder than the last. "I love my daughter. But I will not stand by and watch her throw her life away with a man who has no place in our family." The silence was suffocating. Jordan's mother stood up. "Excuse me? You don't get to," but Linda cut her off. I'm sorry, Denise. I'm sure you're a lovely woman. But this is not what I envisioned for my daughter. And if no one else is going to say it, I will. Emily broke into tears. This is not your moment, Mother. Linda didn't flinch. No, Emily. It's yours. And you're making the biggest mistake of your life. This man, she pointed at Jordan, will never be accepted by this family. The officiant looked to Emily unsure. Jordan's jaw was clenched. Emily looked torn, trapped between her love and her legacy. I'm sorry, she whispered, taking a shaky step back. I can't do this. The crowd gasped. Jordan reached for her, but she pulled away and ran back up the aisle, sobbing, her dress trailing behind her like a broken promise. Jordan stood there in stunned silence as cameras flashed and murmurs echoed. The man who was moments from saying, I do, had just been left standing, heart in pieces. Linda smirked ever so slightly, thinking she had won. But what she didn't know was that Jordan wasn't going to walk away quietly. No, he had a plan. And what he was about to do next would shake the Matthews family to its very core. The silence after Emily fled the altar was deafening. Guests exchanged uncomfortable glances, some whispering in disbelief, others pulling out their phones trying not to get caught. Jordan stood still, his face unreadable, eyes fixed on the archway where his bride had just disappeared. Linda Matthews turned slowly toward the guests, brushing non-existent lint from her lapel, like she'd just completed a job well done. But Jordan's mother, Denise, wasn't about to let the day end like this. You think you've won? She said, her voice shaking. Lady, you just lit the fuse on something you can't control. Jordan finally blinked, exhaled, and walked down the steps of the altar, not in defeat, but with the slow, deliberate pace of a man who knew exactly what he was about to do. Emily had locked herself in the bridal suite upstairs, her hands trembling as she stared at herself in the mirror. What did I just do? She whispered. Her mascara was already running. Kara knocked gently. Emily, please, just talk to him. Don't let your mom get in your head. You saw what she did, Kara? In front of everyone. I can't believe she would go that far, her voice cracked. And I froze. I didn't defend him. I didn't even say anything. I left him there. Kara didn't respond immediately. Then she said, you didn't just leave him at the altar. You left you there too. Downstairs, Jordan was gone. Nobody saw him exit the venue. Guests stood awkwardly, some still hoping there'd be a recovery, others slowly trickling out. Linda sipped champagne like it was just another garden party. You look awfully smug for someone who just destroyed her daughter's wedding, said Denise, walking over with unshaken poise. Linda didn't even look at her. Destroyed? No. I protected my family name. You should thank me. I just saved your son from a lifetime of humiliation. Denise stared at her for a long moment, then said quietly, you have no idea who you just messed with. Later that evening, the venue was almost empty. The staff began packing up flowers and folding chairs. Kara finally convinced Emily to come downstairs. Her eyes scanned the space. No Jordan. No best man. No guests. Just her mother, standing by the fountain, sipping from a crystal flute, phone in hand. There you are, Linda said without a trace of concern. You should be thanking me. Emily was pale. I can't believe you. How could you do that in front of everyone? Linda turned. Because it had to be done. You've been brainwashed, Emily. That man was using you for status, for wealth. Jordan never asked me for anything. You don't even know him. Emily's voice rose. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe if you spent less time judging him and more time listening, you'd see why I love him. Linda's smile faltered. You'll see I was right. Eventually. Emily didn't respond. She turned and walked away, dialing Jordan's number. Straight to voicemail. Again. Nothing. She texted. No reply. He wasn't at home. He wasn't answering his mother's calls. It was like he disappeared into the wind. What Emily didn't know was that Jordan wasn't hiding. He was planning. And the storm he was about to unleash would leave the entire Matthews family shaken. 2 days passed. Rumors swirled online. A few blurry photos from the wedding fiasco started circulating. One post read, Atlanta wedding ends in chaos after bride's mom crashes ceremony. Another added, Black groom humiliated by racist mother-in-law, guests stunned. But while the internet buzzed, Jordan remained silent. Then on the third morning, A sleek black car pulled up in front of the Matthews estate. Linda was pruning flowers in her garden when she saw it. Out stepped a sharply dressed man with an expensive briefcase and dark sunglasses. "Mrs. Matthews?" he asked. "Yes. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Jordan Cole. You've been served." He handed her a thick envelope, nodded, and left without another word. Inside the envelope? A formal notice of defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Jordan was suing Linda Matthews. But that wasn't even the wildest part. Attached was a demand for mediation, accompanied by a private video file, labeled simply, "Matthews Family Secrets, Confidential." Linda's hands trembled as she inserted the flash drive into her laptop, locking the study door. The screen flickered, and her face drained of color. It was a video. One that clearly showed Linda, 2 weeks before the wedding, meeting with a man in a dimly lit restaurant. The man was the DJ. Their conversation, secretly recorded, revealed her plans in full. "Change the music, mess up the seating, and when I give the signal, cut the mic," she was heard saying. "I'll stop this wedding one way or another." But worse. The video then cut to a scene that chilled her blood. Linda slipping cash into the jacket pocket of a man who closely resembled Jordan's ex-college roommate. A man Jordan had once helped through a financial crisis. That same man had accused Jordan of fraud years ago, only for the charges to be proven false. "You just need to cause a little scandal," Linda whispered on tape. Just enough to make Emily question everything. Back at Jordan's apartment, Denise watched the file play again, arms folded. "You sure you want to go this route?" she asked. Jordan looked at the screen, his jaw set. "She humiliated me in front of everyone. And I kept quiet. But now, she's crossed a line. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about truth. About exposing who she really is." Denise nodded. "Then do what you gotta do." Emily, meanwhile, was spiraling. She'd driven to Jordan's place twice. No answer. She called Kara, sobbing, "I think he's done with me." Kara replied, "He's not done. He's disappointed. He trusted you to stand beside him, and you left." "I didn't mean to," Emily cried. I froze. It was like everything I feared came true right in front of me." "Then make it right," Kara said. "Own your choice. You still have a voice, Emily. Use it." The next day, Emily received a certified letter. Her name on the envelope. The sender? Jordan Cole. Inside, a simple handwritten note. "I loved you with everything I had. But love without courage isn't love at all. If you still believe in us, prove it." Emily read it a dozen times. That night, she posted a video online. A raw, tearful confession. She called out her mother's actions. She admitted to freezing. She took full accountability. "Jordan, I don't know if you'll see this, but I love you. And I'm sorry I let fear take over. You didn't deserve what happened. And if I ever have the chance to make it right, I will." The video went viral. Within hours, thousands of people commented. Some praised her courage. Others called her out for not defending her fiancé in the moment. But the message reached its intended audience. Jordan watched the video in silence. When it ended, he exhaled, slowly. Then picked up his phone, and dialed. 2 days later, the Matthews estate was buzzing again, but this time not with a wedding. With chaos. Linda had just received a notice that a press release was being scheduled for the following week. Jordan had partnered with a civil rights attorney, and they were planning to publicly expose not only her sabotage, but her long history of discriminatory actions, including a lawsuit quietly settled 5 years earlier with a former black employee at her family's real estate firm. Linda panicked. She called Emily in a rage. "Do you know what that boy is doing to our name? To our legacy?" Emily responded coldly, "No, Mom. He's not destroying anything. He's just telling the truth." But the real shock came the next morning. Jordan invited Emily to meet him, alone, at the garden where the wedding was supposed to take place. She arrived, heart pounding, not knowing if he wanted to reconcile or say goodbye. But what she found there stopped her in her tracks. The entire garden had been transformed again. Same white silk. Same gold accents. Same violinist in the corner. But this time, there were no guests. Just Jordan standing at the altar holding a small box. He turned as she approached. "I told myself I was done. That you left me. But when I saw your video, I realized something. You didn't just walk away from me. You walked away from the pressure. From your fear. And then you came back. That takes strength. Emily choked up. I want to be stronger for you. For us. Jordan opened the box. Inside, a second ring. Not the original. A new one. Then marry me. Right here. Right now. Just us. No drama. No crowd. Just love. Tears streamed down her face. Yes. They embraced. The violinist played. The sun peeked through the clouds. And as they kissed, someone watched from afar. A camera lens zoomed in. Because what they didn't know was, Linda had hired a private investigator. And what he was about to uncover about Jordan's past would change everything. The garden ceremony may have been small and quiet, but to Jordan and Emily, it was everything. They exchanged vows with tears in their eyes and a soft breeze lifting the silk canopy overhead. For the first time since the disaster at the original wedding, they felt at peace. Jordan slid the ring onto Emily's finger and whispered, "This time it's just us." Emily smiled, clutching his hands. And it always should have been. They kissed, and for a moment the world around them disappeared. But not far away, crouched behind a row of hedges, a man lowered his camera, quickly reviewing the footage. The lens had caught everything, the vows, the kiss, even the box with the ring. He made a quick call. Got it? They went through with it. But wait till you see what else I've dug up on your son-in-law. Linda Matthews stood in her study, swirling a glass of red wine, the room dim except for the soft glow of her laptop screen. A folder labeled JC background blinked open. Inside were records, old college disciplinary files, sealed court transcripts, even footage from a forgotten arrest in Jordan's 20s. Linda grinned coldly. Let's see how perfect he looks when this goes public. What Linda didn't realize, however, was that Jordan had already prepared for this moment. Because his past wasn't a secret. It was a battle scar. And behind every document she thought was her ammunition, was a deeper truth she didn't know how to handle. Meanwhile, Emily and Jordan returned home, still glowing from their impromptu ceremony. Denise welcomed them with a warm hug and a bottle of champagne. Kara and a few close friends gathered that evening to celebrate in the living room. But while laughter filled the apartment, Jordan's phone lit up with a single message from an unknown number. She knows about Marcus. She's going to use it. Get ready. Jordan's face tensed. He quietly stepped into the bedroom and closed the door. When Emily followed a moment later, she found him staring out the window. What is it? She asked. Jordan turned slowly. It's my past. Someone I haven't spoken to in years. Someone I thought I'd never have to explain to anyone. He took a deep breath and sat down. His name was Marcus Bennett. We were best friends in college. Like brothers. But Marcus, he got into trouble. Real trouble. He started selling fake student loans, using my name on some of the documents. I didn't know, until the cops showed up. I spent a weekend in jail. My record was expunged when the truth came out, but the damage was done. The school tried to bury it quietly, but some of it's still out there. Emily listened quietly, her hands trembling. Why didn't you tell me this before? Jordan looked up. Because I didn't want it to define me. And I didn't want it to define how you saw me. Emily nodded slowly. It doesn't. But we can't let her control the narrative. We have to be the ones to tell it. Jordan raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? She grabbed her phone. We go public. Together. We tell the truth before she can spin it into a lie. The next morning, a video appeared on both Jordan and Emily's social media pages. Sitting side by side, they addressed the camera. Jordan laid everything bare. His past friendship with Marcus, the arrest, the false accusations, the pain of being judged before the truth ever surfaced. Emily spoke next. My husband is not perfect. None of us are. But he's honest. He's strong. And he's mine. If you think a couple of documents and an old video can shake us, you don't know love at all. The post went viral. Within 24 hours, the comments were pouring in. Some criticized Jordan, others defended him fiercely. But what stood out most were the people who shared similar stories. False arrests. Misjudged friendships. Racist systems that tried to destroy innocent men of color. Jordan became a symbol. Not of scandal, but of survival. That night he received a call. A voice he hadn't heard in almost a decade. Jordan? Marcus. There was a long pause. I saw the video. You didn't have to take all the blame. You protected me back then. And I was a fool to let you do it. I'm sorry. Jordan sat in silence. You clean now? Yeah. Working construction. Got a kid. Been trying to fix things. Jordan hesitated. Then said, then don't hide. Tell your story. The truth's bigger than either of us now. The next day Marcus made his own video. He confirmed everything Jordan had said, taking responsibility for the scam and praising Jordan's integrity. The internet response was massive. Hashtags like #JusticeForJordan and #ForgiveButFight began trending. Linda Matthews watched from her office, her face turning white. Her plan had backfired. Not only had she failed to destroy Jordan, she had accidentally turned him into a viral hero. Her phone rang. It was her company's board. They weren't happy. You're becoming a liability, Linda, one board member said. Your actions are drawing the wrong kind of attention. You can't be serious, she snapped. I built this company. And you may be the one to bury it, they replied coldly. Desperate to regain control, Linda contacted her investigator. There has to be something else. Something worse. He responded, there's one thing. But you're not gonna like it. What is it? She demanded. He sent over a confidential file. Inside was a paternity test, dated 28 years ago. The name of the child, Emily Matthews. The name of the father, not Henry Matthews. The biological father? A man named Walter Carr, a black man. A former associate Linda had dated in college, then erased from history. Linda stared at the paper in shock. No, this can't be right. She frantically flipped through the documents. The timelines matched. The dates matched. It was real. Her own daughter, biracial. And she'd spent her life spewing racist bile, sabotaging love, humiliating a good man, all to protect a legacy that was built on a lie. Emily, it turned out, wasn't just defending a black man. She was black. And the secret was about to explode. Linda tried to suppress it. She called lawyers. Threatened the investigator. Tried to bury the records. But someone leaked the paternity documents to the press. And soon the headline was everywhere. Exposed. Emily Matthews' real father identified. Racial hypocrisy rocks prominent family. The media went into a frenzy. Talk shows picked up the story. Linda's name was dragged through the mud. Protesters began showing up outside her real estate offices. But the real shock came at her front door, when Emily arrived holding the printed results in her hand. Is it true? Emily asked. Linda stood frozen. Where did you get that? Is it true? Emily screamed. Linda broke. Yes, fine. It's true. But I did what I had to do to protect you from that world. That world? You mean my world? You hated the very thing that makes me me. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? To us. Emily collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Linda tried to reach out, but Emily pulled away. You destroyed my wedding. You tried to ruin my husband. And all the while, you were lying about everything. Linda sat in stunned silence, her entire empire unraveling. But just when it seemed like the worst was over, Jordan received an anonymous tip. A former employee of Linda's reached out with information that made everything else look like child's play. She didn't just try to sabotage your wedding, the man said. She's done this before. To others. With threats. With fake documents. With money. She's left a trail. And I have proof. Jordan stared at the files. Bank transfers. Signed statements. Audio recordings. It was bigger than personal revenge. This was systemic manipulation. Corruption. Discrimination. Jordan closed the laptop slowly. She's going down. Emily looked up. What are you going to do? Jordan stood. I'm going to bring her entire empire to the ground. And this time the whole world is watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that uplift Black voices and expose hidden truths. Jordan stared at the open laptop, the folders of files staring back like silent witnesses to something far more sinister than he ever imagined. These weren't just isolated attempts to sabotage his marriage. This was a pattern. Bank transfers to investigators, forged documents, fake social media accounts targeting interracial couples, and worst of all, anonymous letters sent to employers, landlords, even schools. Linda Matthews had waged private campaigns of destruction against anyone who, in her eyes, crossed her twisted line of racial purity. And now, with hard evidence in hand, Jordan knew exactly what he had to do. "We're taking her down," he said quietly to Emily, who stood behind him with trembling hands. "We have to be smart. Precise. No missteps." Emily nodded slowly. "Do you think we'll survive this?" Jordan turned and took her hands. "Not only will we survive, we're going to make sure no one ever goes through this again." The very next morning, Jordan contacted a civil rights attorney named Maya Torres, a fierce black woman with a reputation for dragging systemic abusers into the spotlight. After an hour-long meeting where Jordan laid out everything, the fake documents, the harassment, the paternity cover-up, and the latest batch of damning files, Maya leaned back and said, "This isn't just a personal vendetta. This is a class action waiting to happen." Jordan nodded. "I want it all out. I want the truth. I want to make sure she never does this to another human being again." Maya's expression hardened. "We'll file with the Department of Justice. We'll go after her licenses, her businesses, her name. But I need you to be ready. Because the moment we move, she'll come back hard." Sure enough, it didn't take long. Within 48 hours of the legal complaint going public, Linda's legal team fired off counterclaims: defamation, character assassination, fraud. "They're flailing," Maya said, scanning the documents. "They know they're losing, but they want to smear you on the way down." Emily's inbox began overflowing with messages from fake accounts, calling her a traitor, a liar, even attacking her unborn child. Yes, unborn. Just 2 days prior, she and Jordan had discovered they were expecting. The joy they felt had been overshadowed by the storm brewing around them. "We can't bring a baby into this chaos," Emily whispered one night. Jordan pulled her close. "We're not bringing them into chaos, we're bringing them into change. This fight? It's for them too." Public support started building. News outlets picked up the story. First it was just blogs, then morning shows, then CNN. Headlines screamed, "Racist real estate mogul exposed by black son-in-law, paternity secrets and power abuse, Linda Matthews unmasked, bride discovers she's biracial after mom's years of racist behavior." Social media exploded with interviews, duets of Jordan's original video, even reaction videos from people around the world. But the heat was boiling over. Linda Matthews was officially canceled. Her company's stock plummeted. Major partners pulled out. Protests erupted outside her corporate headquarters, where former employees marched with signs that read, "We knew. We were afraid." Some of them began speaking out. One woman, a Latina secretary named Rosa who had been fired for poor English, spoke directly to camera, "She destroyed my family. I lost my job, my housing, everything because I dared to be proud of who I was." Rosa's tearful confession went viral, and turned the tide for good. But just as Jordan and Emily were preparing for the next phase, courtroom depositions, something unexpected happened. Jordan received a call. A trembling voice on the line. "Jordan, it's Kara." Kara, Emily's best friend. Maid of honor. Ride or die. But her voice was cracked with guilt. "I didn't know how to tell you before. I didn't want to believe it. But I have to show you something." Jordan met Kara in a downtown cafe that evening. She slid a flash drive across the table. "Linda paid me," she whispered, "before the wedding, to plant doubts in Emily's mind. She told me to hint at your past, to bring up old rumors, and to keep you two fighting. I didn't take the money. But I didn't tell you either. I didn't stop her. And when I tried to cut ties, she threatened my family." Jordan sat in silence, jaw tight. "So that moment when Emily called off the wedding," Kara nodded. "It was me. I helped poison her mind. I was scared. I thought I was protecting her, but I was just weak." Jordan exhaled deeply. "You need to tell Emily. She deserves to hear this from you." Kara looked down. "I already did. She doesn't want to see me again." Jordan stood slowly. "Maybe not now. But one day. The truth matters." Back home, Jordan found Emily in their bedroom, cradling her stomach. "Our baby has to grow up in a world where people like your mother are held accountable," she whispered. "And I won't rest until she is." That night, Maya filed an emergency injunction to freeze Linda's remaining assets. And they scheduled a public hearing at the federal courthouse, where Linda would be forced to testify under oath. The day of the hearing arrived. A sea of reporters waited outside. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Emily sat in the front row, her eyes locked on the double doors. Jordan stood beside Maya, dressed sharp in a dark navy suit. And then, finally, Linda entered. Her face was pale, her once proud posture now slouched. But behind her was someone no one expected. A tall, lean black man with silver in his beard and fire in his eyes. Walter Carr, Emily's biological father. Linda froze mid-step when she saw Emily's gaze fixate on Walter. The courtroom fell into silence. The judge entered. Everyone rose. The hearing began. One by one, witnesses took the stand. Former employees. Investigators. Rosa. Care. Even Marcus submitted a written affidavit confirming Linda's manipulation and coercion of Jordan's past. And then it was Linda's turn. She walked slowly to the witness stand, her hands trembling as she raised her right hand. The prosecutor began. Mrs. Matthews, is it true that you paid private investigators to track your son-in-law prior to his wedding to your daughter? Linda's lips trembled. Yes. Is it true you used that information to coerce friends of your daughter to sabotage the wedding? Yes. Is it also true that you falsified documents, including employment records, to prevent interracial couples from receiving loans or properties under your business management? Linda looked down. Yes. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Emily closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. Jordan gripped her hand tight. But then the prosecutor asked one final question. And is it true that you knowingly concealed the identity of your daughter's father, due to his race? Linda's eyes flicked toward Emily, then to Walter, then back to the floor. Yes. The judge banged the gavel. Court will reconvene tomorrow morning for closing statements. As the crowd filtered out, Emily walked toward Walter. Is it really you? Walter's voice cracked. Yes, baby girl. And I've wanted to be in your life for a long time. I was told you didn't want to know me. Emily turned to Linda. You told him I didn't want to meet him? Linda's face crumbled. I was trying to protect you. From what? Emily shouted. From love? From truth. Just then, a man in a black suit and earpiece approached Jordan. Mr. Cole, there's something you need to see. It's urgent. Jordan followed him into a back hallway where a monitor was set up. On screen was live footage of Linda Matthews, just moments earlier, stepping into a black SUV. But the vehicle didn't head back to her hotel. It went underground. Into a private parking garage beneath a federal building. There, she met with a man wearing a Department of Justice badge. The man handed her an envelope. What is this? Jordan asked. The agent turned grim. We have reason to believe Linda may be cooperating with federal prosecutors. If she's turning over evidence, it means someone bigger is involved. Someone higher up. She's bargaining for immunity. Jordan stared at the screen in shock. The racism, the sabotage, the destruction, it might not have started with Linda. And tomorrow in court she might name the real mastermind. The courtroom was tense. People murmured softly as the judge re-entered and banged the gavel. Court is now in session. We'll begin with closing statements, the judge announced. But before Maya Torres could stand, a federal marshal whispered something into the judge's ear. He nodded, then looked over his glasses. New evidence has emerged. The court will hear a supplemental testimony from Mrs. Linda Matthews. Yes. Jordan and Emily looked at each other. Linda rose from her seat slowly, no longer wearing the mask of pride and power. She was a woman exposed, raw, cornered. As she approached the stand, Walter Carr stood in the back of the courtroom, arms folded. Emily's grip tightened around Jordan's hand. Linda took the oath once again. But this time her voice was steadier. I've done terrible things, she began. I've manipulated people. I've tried to control my daughter's life. And I've let hate steer me into the darkest places. The courtroom was dead silent. But what I'm about to reveal, she continued, goes beyond me. I was a pawn in a larger game, one I willingly played but did not start. She pulled a small flash drive from her pocket and placed it on the witness stand. That drive contains emails, memos, audio recordings. Evidence of a partnership between my company, Matthews Realty Holdings, and a network of developers and financial institutions. Their goal? To quietly gentrify neighborhoods, suppress black home ownership, and restrict interracial couples from qualifying for prime property loans. I was paid bonuses to block families who didn't fit the image they wanted. And I took that money. I kept quiet. But I'm done being silent. The room exploded. Reporters leapt to their feet. The judge pounded his gavel repeatedly. Order. Order in this courtroom. Jordan's chest was pounding. He looked to Maya, who was already flipping open her laptop. This is federal racketeering. We're talking RICO charges. That drive could blow open the entire real estate industry. Linda continued, tears finally streaming down her face. I convinced myself I was protecting tradition. That if I kept the wrong people out, I was doing my job. But the truth is, I was just a coward who used power to hide my fear. She turned to Emily. And I hurt the one person I was supposed to love the most. I destroyed your wedding. I buried your truth. And I lied to you about your father. I see now that your strength, your choice to love Jordan, is the bravest thing anyone in our family has ever done. Emily stared back, eyes glassy. She didn't nod. She didn't speak. But she didn't look away. It was the first time she truly saw her mother. Not as a monster, but as a broken woman trying, too late, to make things right. The judge declared an emergency recess. Federal agents escorted Linda out of the courtroom. Walter quietly walked to Emily and placed a small photo in her hand. This was you. The day you were born, he said, voice thick with emotion. I was there. I held you. I whispered your name. And I never stopped loving you. Emily blinked back tears. Why didn't you fight harder? Walter's face broke. I tried. But she had money. Power. And I was just a young black man with no legal ground to stand on. She threatened to disappear with you. I thought, one day when you were older I'd find you again. And I did. Emily hugged him for the first time, her body collapsing into his arms. Jordan stepped back, giving them space, overwhelmed with quiet joy. Later that night, Jordan and Emily appeared on national news. The host, a respected journalist named Angela Monroe, asked, "How did it feel standing in that courtroom knowing the woman who tried to destroy your marriage was finally held accountable?" Jordan looked into the camera. It was painful. It still is. But justice isn't clean. It's messy and emotional and slow. But when you stick to the truth, when you stand on love, it wins. Emily nodded beside him. I used to think love was fragile, that it could break under pressure. But I've learned that real love doesn't shatter. It endures. It transforms. The clip went viral. Millions watched as the couple who were once nearly torn apart became a symbol of hope, resilience, and justice. The federal investigation launched immediately. Linda's files implicated several major real estate CEOs, loan officers, and even local officials. Arrests were made. A multi-billion-dollar class action lawsuit was announced on behalf of families denied access to housing. Jordan testified before a congressional hearing. Emily wrote an op-ed that was published in the New York Times titled, "My Mother Tried to Silence My Love. Here's Why I Spoke Out." Walter, once invisible, became a powerful voice in the movement for racial justice and family reunification. But Linda was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. The sentencing was bittersweet. She addressed the court, "No apology can undo what I did. But I pray that telling the truth can be the first brick in rebuilding what I've broken." Emily, standing in the gallery, remained stoic. She wasn't there for revenge. She was there for closure. Outside the courthouse, supporters chanted Jordan and Emily's names. But the couple chose not to celebrate. Instead, they went home, to a modest townhouse on the edge of the city, where Emily's belly had grown round with life. 2 months later, she gave birth to a baby girl. They named her Grace. "Because that's what saved us," Emily whispered, holding her daughter's tiny hand. Grace. At Grace's first birthday, family and friends gathered in the backyard. Kara had returned, forgiven but humbled. Walter held Grace while Jordan grilled burgers. Emily laughed freely for the first time in months. And then a package arrived. No name, just a return address from a federal prison. Inside was a small hand-stitched baby blanket and a letter. For Grace, it read. A symbol of what I never gave Emily. But maybe I can give something to the next generation. Linda. Emily stared at the blanket for a long time. Jordan wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "What do you want to do with it?" he asked. She folded the blanket gently and placed it in a memory chest beside Grace's birth bracelet. "Let it stay there," she whispered. "A reminder that we can come from pain and still grow into peace. No child is born with hate in their heart. That is taught. But love, Love is learned too. And when we choose it over and over again, we break the cycle. The end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that uplift Black voices and expose hidden truths.